In the last episode, we talked about ego, why you are not special, and how accepting that frees you to grow. Today, we're taking the next step, and this one separates boys from men. Because today's idea sounds harsh, but it's one of the most empowering truths you can accept. Everything in your life is your responsibility, even when it's not your fault. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever thought, this shouldn't be my problem? I didn't cause this. I didn't ask for this situation. And you'd be right. Life is unfair. People betray you. Circumstances hit you out of nowhere. You inherit problems you never signed up for. But here's what most men miss. Even when something is not your fault, it is still your responsibility. The moment you fully accept that, your life changes. Because no one is coming to save you. And that's the best news you'll ever hear. There's a critical difference between fault and responsibility. Fault is about blame. Responsibility is about control. You may not be at fault for your upbringing. You may not be at fault for a bad boss. You may not be at fault for a failed relationship. You may not be at fault for anxiety, trauma, or setbacks, but you are still responsible for what happens next. Why? Because blame gives you comfort, but responsibility gives you power. Blame says, I couldn't do anything. Responsibility says, I decide what I do now. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. Here's a hard truth most men don't want to hear. You can be a victim of circumstances, but if you stay there, you become a prisoner. The victim mindset sounds reasonable. It even feels justified. But it quietly destroys confidence, because when everything is someone else's fault, you have no leverage over your own life. Men who live in victimhood don't lack intelligence. They don't lack potential. They lack ownership. And without ownership, nothing improves. Let me tell you about Thomas. Thomas was laid off in his late 30s. The company downsized. It wasn't his fault. At first he was angry, understandably. Then he waited. He waited for the right opportunity. He waited for motivation. He waited for someone to notice his value. Months passed. His confidence dropped. His routines disappeared. His identity started to crack. One day, a friend told him something simple but brutal. No one is coming to save you. That sentence changed everything. Thomas realized something important. Being laid off wasn't his fault, but rebuilding his life was his responsibility. So he took ownership, not dramatically, not perfectly. He updated his skills. He rebuilt structure. He accepted uncomfortable work. He stopped waiting and started moving. Responsibility didn't crush him. It restored him. Responsibility feels heavy at first because it removes excuses, and excuses are comforting. Excuses protect the ego. They soften failure. They delay action. But they also keep you exactly where you are. When you accept responsibility, you lose the ability to say, I can't because I would, but I'll start when. And yes, that's uncomfortable. But discomfort is the price of self-respect. Strong men don't wait for life to be fair. They respond to reality as it is. Here's a simple way to apply this, starting today. A framework I call the responsibility shift. Step 1. Identify one ongoing frustration. Something you complain about regularly. Work, health, a relationship, your confidence, your discipline. Write it down. Step 2. Separate fault from responsibility. Ask yourself honestly, is this my fault? Maybe yes. Maybe no. Then ask the more important question. What part of this is still my responsibility? There is always something. Step 3. Take one ownership action. Not a big plan, not a perfect solution. One action that moves you forward. A conversation, a boundary, a routine, a decision you've been avoiding. Responsibility grows confidence because it proves to you that you are not helpless. Men don't become strong by feeling strong. They become strong by acting responsibly when it's uncomfortable. Every time you take ownership, you tell yourself, "I can handle my life," and that belief compounds. Responsibility builds discipline. Discipline builds trust with yourself. And trust builds confidence. This is how men rebuild themselves quietly, without motivation, without hype, without validation. Just ownership. Life doesn't owe you fairness, but it does respond to responsibility. You don't control what happened to you, but you control what happens next. And the moment you stop asking, "Who's to blame?" and start asking, "What can I do?" you stop being a victim and start becoming a man who leads his own life. If this message resonated, comment below. What is one thing in your life you're ready to take responsibility for, starting this week? Like the video, subscribe, and share this with a man who needs to hear it. In the next episode, we'll talk about something uncomfortable but powerful. Why being wrong is actually a strength, and how certainty quietly keeps men stuck. That one will challenge the way you think.